Hello and welcome to Black Crow Gaming. I'm your host Arron, and this week on the Adeptus Custodes Tactica video, we will be talking about the top performing Adeptus Custodes lists out there and my 10,000. If you want to be a member of the 10,000, make sure that you go into the description below and look for the Discord link to join our Discord, where we talk about all things Adeptus Custodes. Now, these top performing lists, there is a bit of a caveat to that, because a certain player from Vanguard Tactics, yes, Mr. Stephen Box, went and won the Warhammer World GT this weekend. And we're not going to be talking about his list. I'm going to leave him to do that when he does his Adeptus Custodes Masterclass. And that is up for you to go and see and check out. But I'm going to be talking to you about the top performing lists that have happened and that have placed the highest over a 6 weeks period. That's right, 6 weeks of data of the top performing lists. And you know what? Something really surprising about all these lists, they're all really different. However, if you like my content and if you like what I'm doing, please feel free to hit those magical YouTube buttons, hit the like button, hit that magical subscribe button, and please hit the bell notification so that you know every time that we put up a video. And a little bit more to that for us, folks. If you could please look at my magical sponsors to the left of the screen, you'll see we've got Glasshammer and Terrain Forge. Glasshammer do sell you miniatures at a discounted price. Now, why not get them cheaper, you say? Well, if you type in Black Crow in the coupon code, get an additional 5% off. Yes, that's right, an additional 5%. I already give 15 to 20%. Take that additional 5 and make it even cheaper. Terrain Forge, they also do a cheeky little discount for Black Crow Gaming. If you put in BCG5, that gives you an additional 5% off as well. And they do this wonderful bespoke terrain, really high quality, and you'll see it on all of our battle reports that we've done. Right, let's get into it. So I'm going to disappear, and I'm going to show you the top Adeptus Custodes lists. So there's just something we need to kind of think about here. These lists are the top performing lists at GTs based on position, not necessarily the best list to run. And remember, there are many reasons outside the list that led to these individuals performing so well. So, for example, strength of schedule. These people may have had a rather easy way to the top. They may not have. There's lots of different variables. They might have been playing on really good maps that suited their style of army. They might have just, got lucky and none of the big named players out there are at these events. Who knows? There's many reasons as to why. So the first list is a shield host list that both these shield host lists placed at 4th at GTs. Now this one's a really interesting list. It comes in with these two blade champions, which we're used to seeing. One with the panoptic specs. Then you've got shield cap with the spear and shield, which is a little bit different. You don't see that very often, and that's really cool. And I imagine it's because you can use that double martial guitar and that -1 CP to stratagems. Next, we've got a brick of 5 Custodian Guard and another brick of 4 Custodian Guard. So you're really making the most out of those stratagems in Shield Host of being able to go off and sticky objectives. And he's got these two bricks which he'll be doing that with. He's then got a unit of 2 Alaris Custodian and a unit of 3 Alaris Custodians, 2 units of 5 Custodian Wardens, and 2 units of 4 Prosecutors, 1 Caladius Grav Tank and 1 Inquisitor Draxus. So the Draxus will be going in with the Custodian Guard. We all know that trick. The Blade Champions will be going with the Wardens. We know that trick as well. However, what we're seeing more recently is this Caladius Grav Tank. And the Caladius Grav Tank, a single one. Now, there is an argument out there to say that 1 isn't threatening enough. But actually, maybe it is, because having the extra bodies, is points you spend on the Caladius Grav Tank to take more units, might actually be worth it in the long run. And I am seeing a lot more top placing lists with just 1 Caladius Grav Tank do well at events. The next Shield Host list is a really cool one as well. You've got your triple Blade Champions, going into your triple Custodian Wardens. You've then got 2 lots of 4 Prosecutors, 1 lot of Custodian Guard, and then you've got a blob of 6 Venatari, 3 Venatari, and 3 Venatari. Now, this list is extremely aggressive. I imagine the 6-man blob of Venatari would have been starting on the board, and then the 3-man blobs would have been kind of in reserve for that free rapid ingress. the Blade Champions would have been sat in with those Custodian Wardens, really threatening to go push forward, and those Prosecutors would have been there for actions, with the Custodian Guard more likely sticking that home objective. It's a very aggressive list, and it's a very typical shield host list, I think. Everything here can hit really hard and punch above its waist under the shield host banner. Next, we move into Solar Spearhead, and these are GT winning lists as well. So this same person came first and second at 2 GTs, and this is the list that they took. They took one Blade Champion with the Adamantium Talisman, the +1 strength, +1. Then they have a Telemon Heavy Dreadnought with the 1 Arachnastorm Cannon, 1 Telemon Fist, and the Twin Plasma Projector with the Augury Uplink, and that's that 5 up Feel No Pain. 2 Caladius Grav Tanks, 1 unit of Wardens, which is going with that Blade Champion, 2 Prosecutors, then another Telemon Dreadnought with the same sort of loadout, Arachnastorm Cannon, the Fist and Plasma Projector, 3 Venerable Dreadnought with the Multi-Melters, 1 Calidus, and 1 Eversaur Assassin. So we're seeing a double assassin here, which is really cool, because the Eversaur is a bit like a rocket. You just kind of send it at something, and normally these weaker units will just flat die to it. And it's, that Custodian Warden brick can just literally go through the wall. So actually, you're able to utilize the spending a CP to take one of your Dreadnoughts through a wall, and also spending a CP and also not even having to spend a CP, and being able to send the Custodian Wardens through. So that allowed you to apply an awful lot of aggression, and that Eversaur with the advance and charge as well. So then you've got 3 units that can move, advance, and charge. So that is 3 separate targets you could potentially tag in one activation, potentially killing all 3. And I don't know if your opponent could deal with losing so much and being under so much pressure, which is why I think this list works so well. The other top performing Solar Spearhead lists came third at a GT, and that's 2 Blade Champions, 2 ×4 Wardens with Vexilla and Spears, 1 Prosecutor, 2 Caladius Grav Tanks, 2 Telemons, and 3 Venerable Dreadnoughts. So I think my 10,000, you can see there's a little bit of a trend going on here with these Solar Spearhead lists. We're not quite out of the woods of using Blade Champions and Wardens. The Telemons are still very much there, but it seems that maybe 2 Telemons is the sweet spot, and then some Wardens or Guard or even some Venatari would go quite nicely as being that additional list, because I feel like if you can only send 1 unit through a wall at a time, your opponent's okay with that. But if you can max threat overload and send multiple units through the wall at one time, so that's where you've got your Blade Champions and your Telemons, and they're all units that hit really hard, you could potentially do an awful lot of damage, crippling your opponent, which would really help you win the game. The next, we're going to look at Talons of the Emperor. Now, Talons of the Emperor are probably our more difficult detachment to play, but it's also one that's had the most success. Now, this one came first out of GT, and that was 2 Blade Champions with a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with Salvo and Aegis Protector, and a Rhino, 2 Caladius Grav Tanks with Blade Cannons, 2 ×5 Wardens with Vexilla and Spears, 2 ×3 Virtus Praetors with Salvos, and 2 ×4 Witch Seekers. Now, what's interesting about this list is the Talons list is leaning really heavily into these bikes, and the Shield Captain and the bike can obviously move at the end of a combat if it's activated. Now, what I find really interesting is that actually the reactive move from Talons isn't linked to just infantry, so you could reactive move with these bikes as well. So it actually just adds an extra layer of trickery. Obviously, we've got the Rhino to be able to send the Witch Seekers off and extend that bubble of Feel No Pain against mortals. And then you've got your Wardens there to just sit on those objectives. I like this list, it's really interesting. But this same person went to another event and did the exact same thing and came second. But his list was slightly different. This time around, he took 2 Blade Champions and he took some Custodian Guard. He took another Rhino. He took the Caladius Grav Tanks, which we see in pretty much every Custodian list. He took some Wardens, and he took 2 ×2 Virtus Praetors. So 2 units of 2 Virtus Praetors. So this time he dropped the Shield Captain, and he took 3 ×4 Witch Seekers with Inquisitor Draxus. And this one came second. So what I wonder is if he went to an event, came second, then mixed it up and then came first, or was it the other way around? But both of these Talons of the Emperor's lists are extremely tricky. So I like them, and I think it's great to see bikes on the board again, and it surprised me that we're seeing them in Talons and not actually seeing them more in Solar Spearhead. But I think you're also going to see bikes in Shield Host as well. This Talons of the Emperor list is another one that came second at a GT, and it's again a very different list to the others. So you've got 2 Blade Champions, you've got that Rhino, you've got the Caladius Grav Tanks, you've got the Wardens, the staple that we've been seeing throughout in these Talons lists. Then you've got your 2x2 Virtus Praetors with salvos, 1 lot of Witch Seekers, 2 lots of 4 Prosecutors, a Caladius Assassin, and the Armature Helverin, which is a bit out there because I'm not entirely convinced Armature Helverins are that great. But when they go into units with fly, then I imagine they're probably better. But I don't know if he's got him in there because it's OC8 and it can just sit and shoot stuff. I'm not entirely sure why he's there. But at 130 points, it's, why not? It's a good unit to take. And here's another Talons of the Emperor top GT list, which came third. This is 1 Blade Champion with that Radiant Mantle. You got Valerian, and you got Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle. Now, what's really cool about this, you've got basically one of every flavour of character. You've got 2 Rhinos here, so you're really spreading that bubble out wide. Only that 1 Caladius Grav Tank again, 2 units of 5 Wardens, 2 units of 3 Virtus Praetors with salvo, and 1 unit of 2 Virtus Praetors with salvo. Now, I'm surprised I'm seeing so many Virtus Praetors with salvos, because I like the salvos, but I think the bolters could be better, but I think they're better in Shield Host and in salvos. They put in Talons. I think maybe it's because you've got that 1 Caladius Grav Tank and you just want that extra anti-tank to do the deed. But all of these Talons lists, they're all very similar in build. They've all got that Psychana Rhino. They've all got some Caladius Grav Tanks. They've all got some bikes. And that's really cool to see. What the big change with them all was the characters they're using. And seeing Valerian in a list is just warms my heart because I love Valerian. So my takeaway points here, 10,000, is, the Meta Monday stats looks at a 6-week period. And they're saying our Solar Spearhead detachment's at a 55% win rate. But that is coming down, and I think that's going to continue to fall as the meta becomes more hostile to us. Shield Host is at a 47% win rate, Talons of the Emperor is 49%, and we're kind of sitting at an overall 51%. As you can see from these top meta lists, we've got a good variety of lists. None of them are really the same, and none of them are, print and auto take. I think a lot of it at the minute is player skill that is really driving these lists in the winning ways. And more units are viable nowadays, so meaning the builds are they're not copy and paste. We've got so many more units we can use, and Solar Spearhead made that possible. I'm really grateful that has happened, and it's probably the best thing that could have happened for the Adeptus Custodes, because now we've actually got some variety. When our initial book came out, it was just terrible, and now it's just not. So that's the end of my talk, folks, and I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy seeing the best list over a 6 weeks period. All of this data came from Goonhammer, so Goonhammer has been collating this information, and we use that to go forward. But I've been Arron. I'm your Adeptus Custodes fanboy from Black Crow Gaming, and thank you for watching, guys.